To say these words you've all been waiting for. À nouveau accueillant le président, chef des opérations de l'UAP. Let's welcome once again the president and CEO of UAP, Monsieur Robert Atem. Il vous écoute, monsieur.
Conducteur, démarrez vos moteurs. Drivers, start your engines.
Fire them up, bud. I'm fired up, man. Fired up. Bring it up. Bust it off. Fired up. Fired up. All the way around here through two. So the driver's right.
Well, I can tell you the engines were the only thing we had to fire up because the fans have been fired up. We're fired up, and we hope you are as well. Our in-race reporter is going to be Justin Allgaier, the man who had all the misfortune of running out of fuel back at Road America. And we'll talk to him when we come back here to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Quebec. Allgaier, let's talk to him, Rusty.
Hey, Justin Allgaier, Rusty Wallace up here at ESPN. You got us?
Yeah, Rusty, loud and clear. Go ahead, bud.
Hey, we got an ESPN mailbag question that comes from David in Springfield, Massachusetts. His question is, how does this track differ from the other two road courses you've run this season?
Well, that's a great question. The biggest answer that I can give you is this track is really suited to Road America, the elevation changes. But it's a really technical course, lots of really tight corners, especially left and right, and hard on brakes. That's the biggest thing I can preach is it's going to be all about power conservation, brake conservation, and hopefully we can keep this sport going get towards the front.
Okay, thanks a lot for talking to us, Justin. We're going to go talk to your crew chief, Jimmy Elledge.
Jimmy Elledge, Ricky Craven in the ESPN booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Hey, Jimmy, there's a lot to think about on this road course, but nothing more important than preserving the brakes. Now, will you have to coach your driver today to save those brakes?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's easy, as you well know, to get caught up in racing hard, and that's what Justin's going to do and want to do all day long. But the name of the game here is going to be conserve brakes and, get your fuel mileage numbers and readings early on in the race and figure out when you can get to that get-home lap and make sure you got brakes for once you get to that point so you can race really hard in the end.
Yeah, sounds great, Jimmy. Thanks a lot for your time. Have a great race.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And we still have just enough time to be able to get one last check down on pit road. Let's first lead down to Rick DeBrule.
Well, Marty, Elliott Sadler may be impressed with the star-studded entry list this weekend, but he knows his job here is this simple this weekend. Not to race the stars, to come away with as many points as possible. He can't fix the mistakes or the misfortunes of the last few weeks. He knows he has to go for points. And it's especially important, he says, to know who you're racing on the track. If it's somebody you're duking out for the championship, well, definitely go for it. But if it's a one-off guy, well, you don't want to go and do something that ends up taking both of you out, especially with a guy who isn't concerned about the championship. Jim Noble?
Well, Rick, today is the final act in the 27-year career of Patrick Carpentier. He plans to retire after this race, and what a career it's been. 5 kart wins, even won a Sprint Cup pole a couple of years ago in New Hampshire. Patrick has a 10-year-old daughter, a 5-year-old son, simply wants to spend more time with them. But what a way it would be to go out with a great performance here in his home province of Quebec. Over to Shannon Spake.
Well, it's the first time in Nationwide Series history 2 Canadians are starting on the first row. And while Jacques Villeneuve's looking to win a race here at the track named after his father, it's actually Alex Tagliani who's driving the number 12 car. That is the same number car that Gilles Villeneuve drove to victory lane here at Montreal in the very first race held back in 1978. Now, Gilles Villeneuve was a huge childhood hero of Alex Tagliani. In fact, when Tagliani was 9 years old, he wore a shirt of Gilles Villeneuve. Wore it every single day, he told me. He made his mom wash it every night. In fact, it faded by the end of the season. Now, the crew guys on this team, they've taken that picture and they have taped it to the inside of Tagliani's car so that he can look at it during this race and know exactly what is on the line here. Marty?
Inspiration, to say the least. Thank you, Shannon. Let's also flash back to last week, because if you remember the nationwide race, several teams had trouble in pit road. How about Jimmy Johnson? Fuel can goes for a ride. didn't happen just to him. It was also several other cars, including Jason Leffler in the 38. And hold on. No, couldn't quite get it. And the 01 of Mike Wallace, not only did Can go outside the box, so did the fueler. Well, that brings us to Sean Pete. He's going to be our over-the-wall reporter. Sean, the jackman on the number 32 of Reed Sorensen. Sean, any chance we're going to see that same kind of problem this week?
No, I don't think so, guys. I think the angle's a lot better on the car. This is just like riding a bike for these guys. So, I mean, they make that job out to be harder than it is anyways. It's, I mean, they got to stick the can in the car, and that's about it. So, no, they do a great job. It should be easier for them. Like I said, all they're doing is north of the border, so they should be fine.
All right, thank you very much. As you guys be safe down there today. Of course, we should point out Sean is from Vancouver, British Columbia. All right, word on the 16 down on pit road. Shannon, what's going on?
Radio problems already, Marty. We told you, we obviously documented Trevor Bayne making it to the track from Michigan. He went out onto the track for the laps, the first couple laps, and he could not hear the crew, so they brought him down pit road. They told him to stay here until they get the radio fixed, because obviously communication extremely important, especially here at Montreal, and he is now down and away, guys, so it looks like they may have gotten that fixed. We'll definitely keep you updated if anything should happen. And as we pointed out, he will be starting in the back of the field anyway, so no harm, no foul there. And how about Carl trying to get some adjustments today? Now, Billy Johnson qualified this car.
Yeah, Billy did a good job qualifying it, but Carl, we've seen him win in this car here before. He's making some final adjustments. He's in the car now. He's belted in safely. He feels comfortable, just some last-minute changes. He's going to have to start tailback no matter what. So this is no harm, no foul. They can take his time and be careful about everything he's doing, Ricky.
Yeah, they want to get it right because it's the only opportunity they have, Rusty. He's rolling off pit road now.
And let's talk a lot about our Goodyear track facts as we get ready to go green here at the 2.7-mile layout of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We're going to go 74 laps, but that all-important pit window.
Yeah, they got to be very mindful of this pit window. I mean, these guys could run out of fuel right here. I mean, you got to remember what happened at Road America. They tried to run too long, too many green-white checkers, run themselves out of fuel. These cars can run about max 27, 28 laps. This is the window we picked, Ricky, 25 to 27 laps for our fans.
Yeah, they're going to be safe. Now, keep in mind, they qualified 3 laps, 4 if you count the cool-down lap, and then they have these 2 warm-up laps. So their pit window on that first stop will be inside 19 to 20 laps. Instead of the 25 to 27. A lot of calculating here on this 2.71-mile track.
Well, you want to talk about calculating? Let's talk a little pit strategy. Stephen Wallace in the 66. Jim Noble, what are you hearing?
That's right, Marty. Just checked in with Doug Randolph, the crew chief on the 66. He is going to bring Steve Wallace down pit road on lap 4. They're going to take left side tires. Might take 4, but probably only 2. They are planning to get some extra fuel in that car. Doug Randolph has told Steve Wallace, I need to plan for more than 1 green-white checkered at the end of this thing. We need to get ourselves in position to do that, so they will pit on lap 4.
And this is a good point because 3 of our 4 races have gone green-white checker here.
Yeah, and the whole point is what I just mentioned about the 19 to 20. By pitting early on lap 4, now that puts them inside their fuel window, a full tank of fuel, and then they can do it in 2 stops.
Well, they don't think they can get as good a fuel mileage as I think they can get. I think they could have, stopped this thing probably around lap 20 or something, been fine, but they're concerned about what happened in Road America and running out of fuel late in this race with the pit window being what it is. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. There's a lot of different strategies out here, and I just can't wait to see who's going to bike first and hit pit road. Lap 4, that's awful early.
Well, and we'll see if it works, because remember, the one thing about road course racing, you do not want to pit under a caution.
You do not want to pit under caution. The other thing we got to keep in mind is that this tire is the tire that was run at Infineon. Boris said, a road course expert, told me, I just don't like this tire. We've heard that, Marty, Rusty, all weekend long. That's echoed through the garage here. Not really comfortable on this tire.
There you see from high above. Now to the right there, that is the rowing course that was used back in the 1976 Olympics. It is still in use today, and it's a perfect rectangle as we pull back, and they're getting ready to come through the last couple of corners. This is that one trouble area that Rusty was pointing out, turns 13 and 14. Marcus Ambrose remembers that corner all too well. It cost him a race win against Carl Edwards. Here we come down towards the starting line, and the crowd is on their feet, and the Napa 200 from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Quebec is green. You see exactly why Villeneuve took the inside, that right side.
He chose driver right for the start of the race. That was not the perfect line for turn 1, but it set him up great for turn 2, which is this high-speed exit.
Yeah, that was really good turn 2 exit, but I will tell you, when the restarts start happening, guys, that's going to be different. These guys are going to bomb down to that corner. They're going to get real aggressive. They're being very, very kind to each other on that first corner, I can promise you.
So far, everybody taking good care of each other. No contact. Down through turn 6 complex.
Yeah, Marty, this is a really clean start, and at this point, it's all about establishing a rhythm. You really don't want to race one another. You want to race the track. You want to reestablish those braking points, those turn-in points, those accelerating points. And then 3 or 4 laps into it, you can start to get aggressive.
Yeah, guys, right now, they're just kind of being cool out there because they've got to. They want to get to that first pit window, that first pit stop, get in there clean, don't wear their brakes out, take care of their equipment right now.
Listen to the fans, because Jacques is in the lead. The French-Canadian crowd, they'll be cheering every time.
He's in the lead, but Jason Leffler's giving him a run for his money to lead this first lap. It's going to be interesting as they all cycle through this hairpin turn. Really, it's going to be interesting coming into the final 2 turns.
Yeah, they get flat sailing down this straightaway right here, guys. About 170 miles an hour. Down here, hard on the brake, down to second gear. And this leads into turn 13. Look how big those strips are on the inside there, Ricky. It throws the car crazy through there.
It is crazy. To put it in perspective, they go from 35 miles an hour to 174 miles an hour. We've completed a lap.
And it is Jacques Villeneuve in front of Leffler, Tagliani, Scott Speed, Stephen Wallace in 5th, Robbie Gordon in 6th, McDowell 7th, Ranger 8th, Carpentier 9th, and Boris Said in 10th.
Pretty predictable start here, guys, like we talked about. Everybody minding their P's and Q's, being cool. But I will tell you, this part of the racetrack right through here, turn 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, stuff like that. On the back side of the track, this is where we saw a lot of wrecks last year. A lot of guys wheel hopping, a lot of guys sliding off the course, a lot of problems.
Jim, 60's in.
That's right. Mike Beam told Carl Edwards to come in after the first lap. This is simply to top off. No ground to lose since they're starting in the back. Now they can make it on 2 more stops.
But can they make a green-white checker?
Well, that's another great question. They'll deal with that when they get to it, Marty, but it's all about getting back those 3 or 4 gallons they lost, qualifying and warming up at pre-race.
So they end up stopping even sooner than your son Steven's going to. Oh, well, Trevor Bayne spins it. Now, remember, he was at the back of the field, so if he can just keep it fired and get back into it, he'll be all right.
And Trevor didn't have a lot of practice time, did he, this weekend? So, it's hard to get out of a car at Michigan. You got 200-mile-an-hour corner entry speeds at Michigan, then you fly over here and you start this race. We watch him sail down in the corner. A little bit of a wheel hop, Rusty, and he loses the back of the car.
Yeah, it's like he just completely missed this corner exit of turn 2 right there and just spun it around. Now, you got to give him a break because this is the first time he's been on this track. And it's slick out here. It's hot. And he just does not have his rhythm going right now, Ricky. He'll get that as the race goes on.
Yeah, you got to make a mistake. Make it early. You can recover from it.
See Stephen trying now to break the 33 of Scott Speed, getting into turn 1 right there. Working his bumper up off the exit of turn 2. And these guys got to be a little bit careful right now. Not to get too aggressive early in this run.
Yeah, that right there was a reflection of what I've seen from all the drivers so far. That was not a deliberate attempt to pass. That was just a, all right, if you give it to me, I'll take it. But he closed the door, and Steven said, all right, I'll wait for the next lap.
And that 3rd car in that line, the 77, is Robbie Gordon.
I tell you, Robbie, I'll never forget the first year here. This guy can flat run this track. You talk about getting aggressive and getting mad at each other. I saw this the first race. Robbie and who was it? Kevin
Marcus
Harvick.
Ambrose.
Marcus Ambrose.
All of them there, yeah.
You got to admire Robbie's dedication to this race this weekend. He's been here for 3 days, right? He hadn't gone back and forth to Michigan.
And his car did not qualify for the Cup race. So if he wants a payday, it's going to come here today.
Marty, I just saw Jason Leffler getting that car, lock up the rear brakes, and about to spin it, getting in that corner right in front of us. That's the indication of what Tim Brewer was talking about when he was talking about brakes. Too much rear brake. If you get that, you can wheel hop and slide the back of the car in the corner. That's what we just saw the 38 of Leffler just do.
Rusty, the brake specialists here are telling me that there's 4,000 pounds of clamping torque on these brakes. That's 8 times the torque that you got the rear wheels. Just to put it in perspective, these tires are abused more, 8 times more on braking than they are on accelerating.
Yeah, to double that. Later in the race, guys, the brakes are really going to start